Is Wags. It's May 20th, 2019. What is going on here? What the hell was that? No, 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 no. Block. Why is this popping up? What is this? Ads are getting through. Unbelievable. All right. Apologize for the delay. Let's try Drudge one more time. I'm going to be reporting on Mr. Apple, the new Mr. Apple, Tim Cook, piece of shit that he is, on board with the agenda, but it's not working anymore. Your agenda's crumbling. People, they're starting to get it. So let's see what Mr. Tim Cook, if we can get past all these ads. Everybody gets to make money. All right, Apple CEO. This is through the Observer. It looks like via Drudge. Let me make sure I'm on the camera here. It looks like it. I don't know how to get rid of these ads. I'm trying to put my picture a little bigger over here. Hopefully it's blocking. No, it's not. Hang on. I need to block more of it. I'll just put a picture of nothing over here. I'll just put a black wall. I don't want you to see my ugly head this much. Let's see if we can block ads. This is bullshit. I'm just trying to make a report on the story. How's it look? I think we're blocking most of it now. Hang on. Apologize. You never know where these things are going to show up on your screen. And it's going to figure it out in a minute anyways. And move them. All right. Tim Cook says he failed you. His generation, not him. You know, he's not going to take responsibility because none of these boomers take responsibility for fucking this place up like they did. See, they got to grow up as teenagers in the 70s. See, they're a little bit older than me. And they've had a pretty easy life as far as you grew up at the right place, right time, booming economy. We were the world leader in production and manufacturing and everything at that time. It's a different place. Okay? But then these guys, as they got older, these are the same guys that were your hippies and all the hippie-doos and all that crap in the 60s. The long hair and the flowers in the gun and all that bullshit, right? Which has now been declassified as that was all planned ahead of time. But that's a whole other story. Now, they were just stupid enough to fall for it. Now you got to give a little credit. They didn't have the internet back then. So you just had your own senses and your own common sense, which they've proven they don't really have. So let's take a look at Mr. Cook. On Saturday, Apple CEO Tim Cook, multi-billionaire, by the way, who was recently... See, now, I'll just read the story. On Saturday, Apple CEO Tim Cook, who was recently acclaimed as an even better leader than the legendary Steve Jobs. So now you know already this is bullshit. Because since Steve Jobs left the company because he died, it's kind of gone sideways, if not to shit. They have not invented a new phone, a new technology. They don't even have a back button on their phone. So all you Apple heads out there, if you like it, cool. We're all stupid for carrying these things around with us all the time. But whether it's Apple or Samsung or now Chrome's in on it. But he's definitely not better than Steve Jobs. He has no creation. He's not created a single new product that anybody gave a shit about. So those are big shoulders to carry. But besides that, that's just my opinion. Carved out a morning from his very busy schedule to deliver a commencement speech at college that now these kids all have mortgage payments for the 2019. That's another thing. This jackass, when he went to college, it wasn't a mortgage commitment to get a degree that means nothing. So today, back then, a degree probably meant a little bit, got you in the door, got you a little experience ahead of time. But with the way thing is today, there's so much information available. You can learn how to code or how to do whatever the new trend is in computers. You could learn that all by yourself if you're, one, smart enough, which most people aren't. Those are the reasons they're not doing it. And two, you just focus, do a little study. You could watch actual lectures from big name colleges of these professors teaching their rhetoric, and you could believe all that and not have to pay the mortgage payment when you're done. But that's another story. He didn't have to worry about that when he went to college. None of you boomers did. Okay, carved out a morning. See how busy he is? This college is lucky he blessed them with his presence. Carved out a morning from his busy schedule to deliver a commencement speech for the 2019 graduates of Tulane University in New Orleans. Back in February, when Tulane confirmed Cook as its commencement speaker for this year, the university president, Mike Fitz, touted that the Apple CEO, who enjoys the reputation as one of the world's most workaholic bosses, get out of here, represents the kind of success now you don't have to jerk him off anymore because you already got him hired and he's contracted to be there. So why he's saying all this BS this shows you how these people are. Back in February, Todd, okay, but I want to get these ads out of here. I'm trying to position it, sorry. But as soon as Cook stepped up to the podium on Saturday, his message to Tulane's graduates became the very opposite of what was expected of him. Instead of presenting himself as a role model for the young graduates in the audience, here comes the plot twist. This is like a movie. Cook encouraged them to challenge older generations' successes and to find their own. That's great advice from a billionaire. Thanks for that advice. I don't know if you could have figured that out on your own. If you just spent 150, 250, 300 grand to go to 4 years of school, I hope you know this, that you should find your own successes and challenge authority, is what he's saying. But he couldn't say that, so he had to say challenge the older generation. Because in his day, it was challenge authority, always question authority. Not challenge, question authority. Don't just let them push you around, right? That was his big speeches back in the day, right? Now he don't want you to do that. Just challenge old people. Well, we saw that a woman pushed an old man off a bus the other day who died a few days later in the hospital from his injuries because he was too slow to get off the bus. So that's how these young, a lot of these young snowflakes deal with older people. They just push them off a bus because they're in their frickin' way, okay? So that's the ones who don't go to college, and probably some of them do go to college, actually, because they're being taught all that snowflake shit there. So that's where it's all blossoming out of. But Cook encouraged them to challenge the older generation. Okay, we wrote that. Quote, in some important ways, my generation has failed you, Cook said, unquote. Quote, we spent too much time debating. Like he's so smart. Too focused on the fight. And not enough progress. The fight in the 70s, the 80s, the roaring 20s of our time, you were fighting for what? The fifth car of your house? When you only got two drivers? The third vacation home? And it's not just billion. This is how everybody was living back then. In the 90s, in the 80s. They had money hand over fist. None of these people were $500 away from being bankrupt like the kids and people today. Not even kids, adults today are $500 emergency away from being on the street. That didn't happen then. Because his generation changed all that. Well, we'll see. They consumed and didn't give nothing back. And now that he's a billionaire, he could give something back, but he's not. He just gives you a little advice here. Go F with the old people. Quote, you do not need to look far to find an example of that failure, end quote, he continued, pointing to an example that no one understands better than those living in the natural disaster. Here we go. Here's the chasm we're gonna cross, or whatever you want to call it. Here comes the real reason this prick is up here. Living in the natural disaster dogged New Orleans. He's got enough money, he could rebuild New Orleans himself. But let's see if he gives any legitimate answer to New Orleans' problems here. Climate change. Oh, there it is. Okay. That was hilarious. Okay. Quote, this problem. What problem? Climate change? Who's doing the climate change? Who's running the heart machine? And now there's many heart machines because it all caught on. Everybody figured out how to manipulate weather and do all that shit. So who's doing the climate change, Mr. Boomer? Huh? Who's doing this? Not nature. Quote, this problem doesn't get easier based on nature's part of it, but it's not when you're spraying and sending signals and moving clouds around and changing atmospheric rivers. When you see the river that's hitting California again, it did it in 2017, doing it again, it's filling the brim, these dams up in Northern California. And amazing, they get it right to within 5 feet, and then it just subsides, every 2 years now. Okay, whatever. And the rain skips the south. So the south gets no rain, Southern California, and it somehow is diverting all to the north. And it's a river. They call it an atmospheric river. Look it up if you don't understand what I'm talking about. Those terms didn't exist before they started playing with this shit. Quote, the problem doesn't get easier based on who wins, and elections have nothing to do with anything. It's about who has one life's lottery. Wait, it's about who has won life's lottery. That's what I'm talking about. He did. He was born into a juicy, ripe, blossoming economy that lasted with a bunch of baby boomers because they all were consuming, because there were so many of them that everything was great until they stopped buying shit. Now that they've stopped buying shit, you're going to see a change in the way people are living. And we're seeing that. There's homeless communities in every Walmart parking lot now. They're changing laws in, Arizona, Scottsdale, I believe. They had to actually repeal laws about parking on streets and stuff because they have so many homeless. And I'm sure he's not going to have an answer for that. There's $300 billion over and above this year's budget alone for toys that they're going to use over in Iraq and Iran and all these other places, right? And now in South America. So they got to use those toys, so they build more, right? $300 billion over and above what the entire war cost, which has been going on for most of your lives that are listening to this. So actually, we've been in war for the last 50 years, but the big war started last 20-something years, right? So most of you that are watching this or interested in a college commencement have been at war your whole life. And it costs a fortune, but we don't have any money for health care. We have no money for homeless. We have no money for mental health. And this prick knows that. But we do have the money because we can blow billions, hundreds of billions on toys for the theater. But we have nothing for the people that can't get up off their feet and need a boost. Because these guys, him, don't give a shit. Because his generation consumed. That's all they did. They didn't know nothing about giving or helping other people. You boomers, all you did was just buy shit for yourself, had the biggest toys on the block, the best car on the block. Nothing for your fellow man. All right. This just aggravates me when these guys who were the snowflakes of their day, when they're out there protesting and all this stuff, right? With their and got nowhere. That was the Twitter of its time. You would go outside and put a flower in your teeth, whatever. That was like Twitter today. Now you could just sit in your basement and do it and don't have to even leave anywhere. So that's how it got easier as far as what his technologies help with. This problem doesn't get easier based on who wins an election. It's about who won life's. Who has won? They used the wrong one. That's why this is confusing to me. It is about who has, and then they got ONE, life's lottery. It should be WON, I think. But who am I? I'm just an idiot. So it's about who has won, O-N-E, life's lottery. And I just wanted to point it out because that's why I'm stuttering on this line. And has the luxury of ignoring this issue. And who stands to lose everything. The coastal communities. Here we go. Here we go. Miami, by the way, if we go back and review Al Gore's book or movie, I think it's 20, 30 feet underwater already, according to what he said 20 years ago by now. The coastal communities, and here they're saying the same BS again. This is my point. They kicked the can further out. Well, in 5 more years, Florida's going to be underwater. And in 5 more years, Boston Harbor is going to be underwater. Well, the water level hasn't changed there ever. So, and I'll tell you why he picked this spot in a second. Because it's so easy to pull this scam off. The coastal communities, including some right here in Louisiana, that are already making plans to leave behind the places they've called home. Well, let me tell you something, and I don't mean to diss Louisiana, because this had nothing to do with the current people. But when he's talking about Louisiana is going to have to move out because they're going to flood, that's why I have this pulled up right before I started this. I typed in, what is the elevation of New Orleans? And let me show you why they're flooding and why they had the floods when the pumps went down. It had nothing to do with global warming or climate change or any of that bullshit. They had a hurricane, the power went out, and they didn't have backup pumps because guys like him couldn't think that far. It was him that set the system up, his generation, okay? And even before that, the guys who built the original dams and stuff, I bet you were probably even older than him. But let's just say, since he's putting the blame on the boomers, let's see what this says. Studies have shown that the average elevation of New Orleans is about 1 foot to 2 feet below sea level. That means half is worse than 2 feet below sea level and half is above. For those of you who don't know how the averages work. And I don't mean to be disrespectful. There's people that don't know what the hell that means. What is an average? They don't know. Some parts of the city, and they don't know because of his device, his iPads, his phones that everybody's stuck with their face in all the time now. That is now the co-founder of, I'm going to do a story on this, the co-founder of Facebook is saying he regrets what they did. Because they did this on purpose. They knew what they were doing when they made the addiction factor of the phone and the thing that you want to have these likes. And, you know, even I check, oh, did somebody click? Oh, somebody dropped off my channel today. Somebody picked it up. Then I go to myself, why do I care? I can't control it, number one, except I can make better videos and maybe get more people, or I can make worse videos or not post videos and people will drop off. But either way, does it matter? Probably not, except to your ego and maybe your own addiction that you need to have this response that you're being patted on the back all the time. That's all these numbers mean. Anyways, these numbers right here mean you're living under sea level and your city floods when the pumps go off. Why? Because they have to continually, 24 hours a day, pump water out of a valley under the sea that you're trying to live in. If the pumps can't keep up, or we have a power failure, or you have, like now, it's in the news all day today. If you watch space news, there's these big storms coming from this new crack in the sun, and blah, 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 blah. All this BS to scare the shit out of you again. I stopped believing anything NASA says for a reason, because I've made videos where I've documented fact. 2016, 2017, I have video on here that shows what the conditions were at the time. And now you could look them up, which I did, and I showed people that they've changed the data. So if they're changing data, like wiping your ass, you just use a new piece of paper, then what data is real? But this is real, I think, that you're 2 feet underwater, under sea level. And you know what's going to happen? The water always finds the lowest point. It settles, and it's flat. So it'll settle flat, cover up your city, as a big flat sheet of water. Unless you have the pumps on. Then you can live there like you've been doing for 100 years now, or however long it's been. Why you would choose to live underwater and think that you can outwit nature, that's on you. And if you can't beat nature and you have to move, that's also on you. That's like saying you built a house in the mountains or you bought one in the mountaintop and you can't breathe up there. Well, you're going to blame global warming for that? All the people in the mountain village, you got to move out. They can't breathe. Yeah, a lot of people can't breathe up there. Yeah. I don't even know if I have to go any further than this to prove what I'm talking about with New Orleans, okay? It's not climate bullshit that is messing up New Orleans. It's the fact you built a city under the sea level. Mr. Cook, or are you too stupid to know that? Because your college back then wasn't as smart as the college today, right? That's why it costs so much. Let's see what else he says here. Cook's most important message. Oh, wait, he's talking about political noise. Let's see what he's saying here. Probably telling you not to do something here. The problem doesn't get easier based on who won the lottery. Yeah, okay. Coastal communities, including some right here in Louisiana, which we just showed you why, that are already making plans to leave behind the places they've called home for generations and head to higher ground. When we talk about climate change, I challenge you to look for those who have the most to lose and find the real, true empathy that comes from something shared. This guy knows about sharing? Really? How many Corvettes you got? How many Lexuses you got? How many things you got you'll never touch? You just bought them because you could. How many people are living in parking lots? How many people are living on the street? How many people can't get a freaking tooth pulled? Anyone? Anybody out there having any kind of problem like that? That this guy who's so empathetic and cares about you, and his way to care about you is that we got to spray more. Harvard's got to do the shield more, which they're doing. They're doing a great job of it. The temperatures are cooling off. It's May 20th, and I have a jacket on. I've had a jacket on for days. So, it's working. I don't need any data to show me that. I see the other videos of other cities where it's like here. It's cloudy out right now. I just looked out my window. 2 o'clock, 2:30 almost. Typical cloud because we're going into the afternoon. So Illinois, northern Illinois, is always cloudy after 2 o'clock, except for 1 or 2 days a week. For some reason, 1 or 2 days a week, they let up on the pressure of whatever they're doing up there, and then they kick it on again. So whatever they're doing, you could go to Harvard's site and go to their video where they explain it if you don't know what it is. And then you'll catch on to why this is so important. And Harvard's fixing it. And not only is Harvard fixing it, but so is Bill Gates now, another billionaire, another guy who's going to save the world, right? Who gives all those tainted shots overseas that were illegal to sell here because they had AIDS blood in it or whatever. I mean, that's no joke. So when he goes to India and stuff, his companies with the shots, they run now. Look up I think it was Africa where they sterilized women from being pregnant. They can get pregnant, but by the second trimester, their body kicks it out because of a chemical or whatever they put in their shot that tells the body when this enzyme kicks in, deal with it. And the enzyme is in the second trimester of pregnancy, there's a certain enzyme that goes in a woman's blood. When that happens, this virus or whatever the hell they put in the shit, you got to look at it. It's so, I can't even explain to you how it works. But it happened, and it's all there, and it's all available to see. And the people even there know to run. See, when they give you free shit, it's not for free. These guys do nothing that's not calculated and not to their benefit. Especially share, like he's talking about sharing and all this bullshit. This guy don't even know what that means. Expanding unless it gives him a tax write-off, then he may share a little bit. But other than that, don't think he's doing it out of the kindness of his heart. These people are addicted to winning. They're addicted to that, I need $10 more. I got $10 trillion in the bank, but $10 trillion and $10 more, I'm a better person. That's how they think. It's the same disease as alcoholism or as gambling. It's the same thing. Same triggers. And they use those in your cell phone and in your tablets and your all that crap when you're playing those games online. That's what they're doing. So if you find yourself spending more time fighting than getting to work, stop and ask yourself, who benefits from all the chaos? Oh, wait, we got to go. I missed a paragraph. Hang on. This problem doesn't get easier based on who. Okay. When we talked about climate change, I challenge you to look for those who have the most to lose and find the real, true empathy that comes from something shared. You can't have empathy for a lie, right? I mean, if someone's lying to you, you're going to at some point say, I don't empathize with you no more. You won't stop lying. If you can't stop lying, NASA or NOAA, which a little guy like me has documented over and over, and it's posted right here, so you could go back and see it. If I could find it out, why can't anybody else? Because they don't want to. So then you get this clown that comes in and tells you New Orleans is underwater, not because they're literally underwater and have had pumps for 100 years to pump them out of that water. Now it's because you use straws and you did this and you do that. And even though he got to enjoy all that shit, he got to consume, he got to own 10, 15, 20 cars, he got to fly in Lear jets, you don't. Because, one, you're not going to be able to afford it, number one. Number two, because that's naughty now. See, they all got to do it, and now they close the door behind them. These boomers are scum that do this. They got to play. They got to have all the fun. They got to do everything. And now they're telling you, yeah, I know I had all that fun, but you can't because we got to now save the world. The world is fine. The world will get on and go on without us or with us, either way. So relax. The world is going to be just fine. Okay? So, if that's the case, then who are we saving? Nothing. They're just telling you you can't have the fun we had with his little fancy bullshit. And I'm talking about normal people. People that were average people. They had Lexuses and all this stuff in their driveways. Their 16-year-old kids would get a new Lexus. Their other kid would get another Lexus. I know people personally that did that shit, and they're not billionaires. So this is what I'm trying to tell you. They are the ones now saying, no. 5 cars, 2 drivers? No, that's bad for the environment. While they get on a jet even today and fly a private jet to their vacation home in the Caribbean, wherever it's at, and pollute the shit out of everything for 2 people and their family to fly somewhere. Now they got this green bill where they want to get rid of airplanes even. I mean, are you kidding me? What? The green machine bill or whatever they're talking about? We got to get rid of airplanes. We got to get rid of manufacturing. We got to get rid of... Yeah, okay. Why don't you all take a little step back and look at these boomers who got the time of their lives, and now they're telling you you're not allowed to because we had that fun, but no good for you. That's what he's saying, that he got the fancy pants, you can't, and you probably shouldn't want them anyways, because if you do want them, you're going to follow the path he took and do shit that you got to sell your soul to do to get to those levels. That's on you. If you want to do that, go ahead. I mean, there's always going to be somebody doing it. That's why you have good and bad. It just happens. If you didn't have that balance, nobody would appreciate anything. You know what I mean? Even when you get sick, and then when you're not feeling so sick, if you have a chronic condition, for example, the days you're not feeling as hellish as normal, you may appreciate it more. Or you may not. I don't know. Cook's most important message actually went beyond climate change. Oh, let's hear this. Expanding the discussion to how young people could filter out the political noise. See, they want you to ignore shit. They want you to go on with your fancy cell phone, look down, don't look up. Don't look at the sky, don't look at the cloud, don't look at the stars. You let him worry about that, and the boomers will figure that out, okay? They'll set it up. They'll figure it out. You just do what we tell you to do. So we're going to tell you we need a green bill and blah, blah, blah. Vote for Joe Blow, and we'll take care of it from there. See, here's the issue. Even though voting is rigged a lot of the time, it can still make a difference because it's like a thermometer. They'll still win their race. They'll still rig it. However, these predators, these things, they see that. They're watching the pulse of what people are doing. They see it in real time. None of you understand that. The real time is everybody on Facebook, Instagram, all those sites, right? Those are all to monitor everything you're doing. And you voluntarily do it, which is whatever. You can do that. It's your right. But this guy telling you to stay out of politics, stay out of getting involved, is what he's saying. Mind your own business. Let us deal with it because we're the experts. No, you're not nothing. You don't know shit, and you screwed it up because the shit you thought you knew was wrong. And these egotistical pricks still cannot admit they screwed up. It sounded like he was about to say that. My generation screwed. He didn't apologize for anything. This is about mind your own business. We'll take care of it. We're going to pass some more green crap because we need the write-out. We need the donations from the government, tax write-out, all that crap. It's why Tesla's in trouble. They're not getting the money they used to. All the back-end money and the free grants and the billions of dollars and for having green cars and all that crap. That aren't going to work. It works if you build a handful of them, but nobody's going to come off oil because oil is what everything is based on. The whole dollar is based on oil. Are you kidding me that they're going to allow cars that run on electric? That's not going to ever happen. Not in our lifetime. And then they tell you, well, we're only a few months away when these cars could drive all by themselves. No, they won't. Because there's always going to be idiots on the road that are going to screw up that algorithm. You can't have a car do that until all the cars are doing it. And if you don't see a problem with that, you're not seeing what the problem is. The problem is if you have all electric cars, Tesla said they were going to have thousands of taxis by the end of 2020 or by 2020. That's not going to even be close to happening. It's all bullshit. But they want you to get ready because they're trying to. They want you to have where you don't need to own a car, right? You got all these services, right? The people who drive for those services are fools. They have no idea. You may get an extra couple $100 a month, but you're ruining your car. You're ruining your insurance if you get in an accident. Anything. God, there's so many things that you are on the hook for. That this company, whoever the two are, whatever their names are, you call them up. All they're doing is providing you with a mapping service of what these people think they own businesses. They're self-business makers or whatever. They're not. You're not nothing. You are a tool for Uber and the other idiot where they even work for both at the same time. Are you kidding me? So now your tires, $600-800 in tires, you're going to wear through them really quick. And then you got to buy the expensive tires. If you don't buy expensive tires, they wear out. You people don't even understand this. When you go and buy tires, there's different kinds. You can get a set for $400, but they're only good for 10,000 miles or 20,000 miles. Look at the ratings on it. Some tires are good for 100,000 miles, but they're going to cost you $1,500, not $100 a piece. They're going to be $1,500 for all. So the brakes, the car washes, the cleaning the puke, all the stuff, your time, all this is doing is lowering the average hourly wage again. Except Uber doesn't pay you an hourly wage. You just get paid per mile or whatever the hell you're getting paid. And then they got no car wash money they got to spend. They got no oil changes they got to do. They have no maintenance of the cars. They don't have to buy the car. They don't have to insure the car. If they get in an accident, you're the one who's going to have to pay for that. So what does the company that's giving you the leads for picking people up, what do they got to lose? And they're still not making money. They have no liability. Zero as far as a big company would go. You have all the liability, the driver. And then you think they're going to put driverless cars out there. Now, if eventually that's what they want. I'm not saying that it's not going to be tried for down the road, but it ain't going to be able to electric cars because until we get off of oil and that whole economy, that's what runs everything. It runs everything. That's why we don't need oil and all that crap no more. You can run off, you can put wind power and a solar generator at your house and a couple other things and a few batteries, and every house could be off the grid. But guess what? That's illegal. You know that? Check your laws out. Most areas, it's already locally illegal, and it's also, there's weird federal laws that come in there that you have to be hooked up to the power grid because of this, that. That's why they got the smart meters so they could listen and track and do this and that and all this stuff, right? So you're not even allowed to be self-sustaining anymore. But they do it slowly. You trade your eggs, that you have chickens with eggs, and you get your neighbor's goat milk, bam, federal offense. Boom. They're not going to do nothing, or they will. They could, or they won't. But it's the opportunities there if they need to. This is what most people don't understand. Those laws are written and most of the time never used until they need to. All right, let's see what else this clown said. Cook the clown. The coastal communities include. Somebody needs to tell Tim Cook why New Orleans floods. Why do they got these big pumps running for years and years and years? It's like you're running these pumps and you can't figure out why your basement's still flooding. Well, you're living in a lake. Yeah, your basement's in a foot of water, 2 feet of the lake. So you got to constantly pump out. Now, as long as your pump doesn't stop, you deal with a little mildew and the shit, but you could probably live there as long as you live on the first floor. You know, keep the basement and kind of isolated, you know, but you could probably wing it like they've been doing. But when the pumps turn off, the basement's going to fill up with water until the water reaches a natural level point. And since you're several feet below sea level, okay, that's enough of that. His important message actually went beyond climate change, expanding the discussion to how young people can filter out the political noise. Yeah, don't be involved. Don't. We don't want you to know what your local politician is doing. This is best on the local level. This is why nobody goes to your local community meeting every month. Then they meet every month. Your mayor, your police chief, all these people meet every month. Do any of you know even who your police chief is, or who your mayor even is, or who the city administrator is, or who your aldermen are, or anything? Do you know any of them? Probably not. You're too busy, right? Like he's saying, let him worry about it. You guys just keep doing your thing and don't pay attention to what us adults are doing. That's what he's saying. That's exactly what he just said. And find their real goals. He encouraged them to fight against what today's tech giants, including Apple, want them to see and regain their own perspective. That part's true. See, he's getting older, so he's got to I might have to answer to higher power at some point or so. I'll throw this in. I'll give him a little reality. Apple's brainwashing you is what this just said, and so is all the other tech giants. Now, that's no secret, but nobody pays attention to it, and they keep doing it. So once you know that smoking cigarettes is dangerous, and you keep smoking them, who's at fault? That's what he's saying. The cigarettes are dangerous. I suggest you don't smoke them, but, makes us a lot of money, so we really don't want you to stop. But I'll throw that out there because I have to. And he threw it out there. Think about that statement. He encouraged them to fight against what today's tech giants, including Apple, including himself, want them to see. Do you see what he's saying? They're creating your reality and regain their own perspective. He's telling you to find your own damn self. But at the same time, don't find too much of yourself. Because if you find too much of yourself and you know what's going on around you, You may go to a meeting and vote out somebody in office that's really doing your town wrong. They don't want that because he pays their campaign money. He cuts a check to the Democrat and the Republicans and the Democrats again and the Republicans. He's cutting checks to each side. That's called hedging your bet. So they pay off both sides and then hope for the best. And they get the best because both sides want their money. You can't cut a check that he can cut. So they're not going to listen to you until more of you show up to the meeting. Because then you could literally vote them out of office. See, this is what he's saying. Don't be too awake, is what he's saying. Keep your face in that phone, and we'll tell you what you need to know. If you find yourself spending more time fighting than getting to work, nobody's fighting anything. They fight, if he means by you go on Twitter and fill out a form, a protest form, whatever they call them, these petitions or whatever the hell it's called. That's as far as they want you to go because they could block that. They could stop that from spreading. So, yeah, go ahead, fill out your online complaint, and it goes right to a trash can. Just don't show up to your city council meeting because that's when it matters. Or your county board meeting. You know how much money's wasted on the county townships? Each county in Illinois has a township that does nothing. They order gravel, and they have like 2 guys on a crew. They got like 6 people working there, bilking tons of money. Anybody care about that? Because I don't see any potholes getting fixed or any, what are they doing? Take a look around, you people. Wake up and say, what's this county board doing? What do they do? Because the town is there. Why wouldn't the town handle the problems right there? Well, we got this county over thing. They oversee the rest, the unincorporated areas. Well, technically, probably nothing is unincorporated because the county is corporated, so they own the unincorporated. So that's all bullshit, too. But whatever. We forget sometimes that our pre-existing beliefs have their own force of gravity. This is what they're telling you. Don't believe in your own instincts. Today, certain algorithms will pull forward or pull toward you things that you already know, believe, or like, and they push away everything else. Push back. It shouldn't be this way. That part he's right about. So what the problem is he knows the install of the 5G is going on and what that's going to do to the algorithms of knowing everything you do. Every light bulb in your house is going to be reporting to the 5G. Every refrigerator, every TV, every VCR. And I get young people go, "Oh, you're crazy. You're full of shit." Really? Why don't you look up LED light bulbs that are already set up for the 5G to give you, what is it called? Li-Fi, I think it's called. Li-Fi, something like that. Where they're going to give you Wi-Fi through LED light bulbs. Because LED light bulbs are LEDs, light emitting diodes. Does anybody even know what that means? They're electronic devices that go inside like computer chips or computer boards, motherboards, stuff like that. When they build, you build just a simple box. You could go to, well, it used to be Radio Shack, but go somewhere and get a home kit, how to build your own, what do you call it? They have like the science gadgets where you could build your own solar thing, right? And you could plug a little motor to it and it hooks it up and then a little light goes on. That light has a wire coming out each side. That's called a diode, light-emitting diode. That lets you know that there's power going through that circuit. That's one way it's used. The old calculators from the 70s with the red dots, the red readouts, those were LED little bulbs. Well, they found out they could transmit way faster data through the light. That's another reason you're getting this put in everywhere. Now, he's telling you push back. Once that's installed, you can't. It's not going to be possible. So I don't know what he's trying to tell you. He's giving you mixed messages here. Both push back against what? The only way you could push back is to put your phone down. Put the video games down, turn them off, and don't turn them back on. That's the only option you have left. And I bet you nobody can do it. Because you're so addicted to how many likes you got. Did anybody look at my Facebook picture? Whatever the news services are. I don't go on any of them except for I have a Facebook account from years ago, and I throw things once in a while. I'll throw some up there. But when you see day after day the news of them stealing your data, on top of what you already give them, it's like, what else are they finding out? It's important. And it's made him a billionaire. It made all these guys billionaires. Your data. You. They're making money off of you. Off of you, what buttons you're pushing on your phone, what video games you're playing, what videos you're watching, what this, that, where you drove to, what time you drive there, how many times a week do you go there. Then it figures out, oh, that must be your work. So it'll even label it for you on your program. This is work, ? And then it wants you to verify it. Oh, did you go into store A, B, or C? Because it can't figure out that there was 3 doors to this little strip mall you drove to. You parked 20 feet away from the door, so it doesn't know which one you went into if you leave your phone behind. Try this. Leave your phone in the car. Just for 10 minutes. You'll be okay. Believe me, you'll still be okay. When I grew up, nobody even had a cell phone. So relax. 10 minutes. Go in the store. Go back. Your phone will be okay. It'll still be in the car unless someone steals it. And then see what happens. They're going to start sending you little messages on your phone. Did you go in the J store, B store, or A store? Because we can't narrow it down because you left your phone behind, idiot. And then it's going to ask you, this is how they do it. Did you enjoy your burger at Joe Blow's Burger Joint? No, because you went into the candle store or whatever. So that's how they trick you. Watch for that. If you see those little things, maybe you'll start to understand what I'm talking about. Oh, what else is there? So this ass clown is telling you nothing, and I thought he was going to apologize for being a scumbag, and he didn't. So that's how this article makes you think. Apple CEO Tim Cook's message to 2019 graduates: "My generation has failed you." That's not what he said. And he said New Orleans is flooding because of global warming, which is now called climate change, which next year will be called the ice age. And next year after that, it'll be called the heat wave. And then next year after that. Does anybody see the bullshit yet? Where's the flooding? Where the Midwest is flooding, and it's not near a coastline. That's where the flooding's happening. North Carolina, inland, after those couple hurricanes hit, like week after week after week. Or when you get nor'easters on the East Coast every 3-4 days, storm after storm after. That doesn't happen naturally, dude. But New Orleans is flooding because of this bullshit. It's because they're underwater. Right here. Studies have shown that the average elevation of New Orleans is between 1 and 2 feet below the sea. Guess what happens? Water seeps into the lowest point. It always does. So you need pumps to pump this shit back into the water. Then the water comes right back in. You're in an endless cycle. It's like when you pick up your cell phone and you can't put it down because you're staring at that screen. Same exact thing. This is Wags. I hope you learned something. I'm out of here.